What you're about to listen to is a Bry-Fy production.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Bry-Fy podcast. I'm your host, Bry-Fy, your comics guy, and it's another late episode because, well, I don't have a good reason. No. So, last weekend, Casey and I decided we wanted to go watch Deadpool and Wolverine since RJ was in school. Friday was my day off, and so I kind of postponed the podcast till then, and then the weekend happened, and I just got busy with weekend things. You know how it is, man. Come on, give me a break. Anyway, so today is Monday, August 26th, and I figured since I'm off again today, I'll sit down, get behind the mic, and let's chat a little bit about what we watched with Deadpool and Wolverine. And also, there's a bit of nifty nerd news stuff to cover, so we'll get into that. All right, guys, so up first in the nifty nerd news, it's time for some rumor. Well, kind of spoiler too. So if you have not watched Deadpool and Wolverine, this next bit of news is probably going to be spoilerish for you, and then what we talk about with Deadpool and Wolverine later will be spoiler-ish as well. There, see, I can English. Take that, Aaron. No. Anyway, so yeah, here's your 3, 2, 1. So the rumor for Marvel's Secret Wars and those Avengers movies coming up, it looks like they are casting some legacy actors from way back in Marvel's heyday. I say heyday, but way back before Marvel's heyday to make guest appearances and cameos in the Secret Wars movie that they have planned. So far, the rumor mill has claimed that Tobey Maguire, Chris Evans, Nicolas Cage, Wesley Snipes, and Scarlett Johansson have all agreed to contracts for the Secret Wars movie. And for sure, Chris Evans, Wesley Snipes, and so like everyone except for Nicolas Cage, I clearly see happening. But now that we're talking Avengers money and not Deadpool Wolverine money, I can potentially see Nicolas Cage actually signing on for this, and it could be a lot of fun. I think that's the whole point, and I think with what Deadpool and Wolverine did, where you can see Secret Wars piggyback or elaborate more on, where giving a huge shout out to their legacy and honoring that legacy and then moving forward from there and starting something new. I don't know. And like I said, that's getting into Deadpool Wolverine stuff that I don't want to spoil too much now. We'll talk more about that later. But it's an interesting thing because, the whole point of Secret Wars is to bring in all these different universes, because all these universes are having incursions where they're colliding, and it brings all these characters, like fan favorite characters from different Marvel universes, into one main universe. And then with how Secret Wars worked in the comic books is then everything kind of became the 616 universe or the main universe. And so essentially all your favorite characters that you wanted to keep alive and interact with the main Marvel 616 universe got to stay. And that was like Marvel's way of bringing in Miles Morales and, like, I guess, well, not technically Spider-Gwen or Ghost Spider. She's pretty much kind of I don't know. The Spider characters are a little bit weirder and different because they exist within a multiverse due to Spider-Verse reasons, which is kind of funny. But yeah, so Secret Wars, I think, is a good way to bring a lot of these characters back, pay homage to them. And if there's some that they would want to bring back for a solo film, or like Gambit, or, like something like that, then this Secret Wars would be the place to do that. And then build from there going forward. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyway, moving on. So James Gunn has hinted at that more members of the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise maybe I don't know if jumping ship is the right term, but moving over to the DC side of things, since now James Gunn is like the DC entertainment universe guy, and he's got a lot of friends who are all in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and his brother, Sean Gunn, I think, is playing a villain in one of the movies coming up, but it's not impossible to see Chris Pratt come over. I think even he mentioned in an interview that, yeah, like they've been talking, and if the part seems right, he'll come over. Who was the girl that played Mantis? Oh God, I can't remember how to. Palm. Why don't I say Mom? Palm Clementif, I think that's how you say her name. She's talked about a part that nothing's been announced yet, but like she's mentioned that her and James Gunn have talked about potentially coming over in a character that she could potentially play in the DC universe, which I think is pretty neat and kind of cool. And so that would be really exciting to see because they're all fun actors, and I think Suicide Squad was DC's Guardians of the Galaxy, so just in a weird kind of way, just a more rated R version of it. But yeah, I mean, actors play different characters all the time, so I don't think anyone should be too hung up on like, oh, these are supposed to be the Guardians of the Galaxy people. How could they be people in the DC universe? Well, spoilers, Henry Cavill played Wolverine for a cameo, but he played Wolverine. So like maybe DC's angry now. They're like, well, you know what? We're going to poach some Marvel characters for our movies since you took our Superman. No. Anyway, in the last bit of nifty nerd news, talking about legacy people coming back, it looks like James Spader is set to return as Ultron for the upcoming Vision series. So does that mean Ultron's not dead? Is it a part of Ultron that lives within Vision? Is it a Secret Wars thing? Like what does this all mean? And it's funny because a lot of stuff Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, pre-Loki, pre-Deadpool, there wasn't really a multiverse tie-in to it. So is this is bringing Ultron back like Vision's tie-in to the multiverse? Or is this just, like I said, like code that Vision left within himself? Or, well, now that he's white Vision, it's like he's a completely white Vision. Doesn't have the memory. Well, I guess he was given the memories and stuff from the dying Vision. I don't know. There's a lot that happens in WandaVision that you're just gonna have to go watch if you don't know. So, but it's interesting to think where this comes from. Part of me is believing, yes, this is like because Vision was built from Ultron, so I'm sure this is Ultron. This is Ultron code buried within Vision that is coming forth and bringing itself out. Is it going to be the big villain? Is it going to be like a good cop, bad cop type of thing where they learn to coexist? Who knows? I'm curious to see what they do with the new Vision story and where is it going to go from here. Supposedly they're going to be pulling in some West Coast Avengers things for this version of Vision and the Vision television series. So I'm curious. I'm curious to see where this story goes from here, because that was kind of like a big cliffhanger at the end of WandaVision, is what happens to the White Vision? Where does he go? Does he ever come back to be the Vision we know and love today? Which in the comic books, yes, but in the TV show, who knows? Anyway, that's it for the Nifty Nerd News this week, guys. Thanks for sticking around for all of this. Up next, we're going to talk about my take and views on Deadpool and Wolverine. All right, guys, thanks for sticking around for the last part of the Bry-Fy podcast. So last weekend, my wife and I finally went to go watch Deadpool and Wolverine. It's always hard for me with my schedule because I work 2 weekends, days and nights, and then I have 2 weekends off. But when Deadpool Wolverine first came out, school was not back yet. So our son was always with us, and he doesn't do too well in theaters. So trying to go see new movies, it's always really hard to do. But thankfully, school started last week. And actually, no, school had started the week prior, but we were both sick. I had COVID and then Casey had COVID. And so, well, I was not diagnosed with COVID, but based on my symptoms and everything, yes, I had COVID. And then Casey had COVID. And so it was a swap of us quarantining and trying to take care of our son. And so when he was at school, Casey was actually sick. So we couldn't go anywhere because I was staying home taking care of her and trying to help her get rid of her fevers. And so then last weekend, finally, we were both healthy and our son was in school. So we were able to go watch Deadpool and Wolverine, which super stoked about. Like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, though, spoilers coming ahead. So if you have not seen Deadpool and Wolverine, thanks for listening, because the rest of the show, that's all we're going to talk about. Like, subscribe, rate, review, you know, all those fun stuff. Where to find a Bry-Fy podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, YouTube, twitch.com/the Bry-Fy, all those things. Anywho, with that being said, let's talk Deadpool and Wolverine. First things first, things are not going well for Wade Wilson, right? So you could tell right away his life is essentially in shambles. He's trying to make the best of it. He's essentially just surviving, it seems. Looks like him and Vanessa broke up, you know, I guess getting shot and killed and then being brought back through time things will do that to you. And also it seems like Wade is just lost his mojo, so to speak. Like things just aren't going well for him. And he's trying to be a car salesman to like be okay with things, but it's just not the same. Like he has these beautiful gifts and he's not using them. Or, well, he's using them, but it's to get you a great rate on an auto loan for like a weird version of CarMax. And he's working with Peter, which Peter's amazing and weird and awesome. And you get to see way more of him in this movie than in the last movie. And it turns out like Peter is like Wade's best friend, which is really fun. So there's a surprise birthday party and everyone's there from like all the past movies. It's really great. And then the TVA show up. And all this was a flashback because if you watch the movie, or if you haven't and you still want to hear about this, things start off kind of like how all Deadpool movies seem to start off, kind of in the middle of, or like right when the action gets good, and then we flash back to why we got to here. And so the pre-flashback scene is him looking for Wolverine's dead corpse from the Logan movie. Because he's like, well, he's got regenerative powers. We should just be able to just unearth him and he'll be back right there. As it turns out, no, he's dead. He's got the case of the deadsies. And, excuse me. And it comes with this great title sequence done to NSYNC's Bye Bye Bye, which is just hilarious. It's bloody, it's gory, and it's just fun. Like, this movie is pretty fun for almost the entirety of this movie. There are some really serious moments sprinkled in, which are acted very well and was kind of a shock. But I mean, I think that's what's always kind of made Deadpool great, and having Wolverine here to be that, what's the word, flail, or just to be the yin to his yang, so to speak, really helps hit home the drama of this movie, or like the really sad parts of this movie, and makes the comedy that much better because of just the contrast between the two. And so anyway, back forward. So the whole thing is the TVA, or this section of the TVA is being ran by a guy who wants to put an end to Wade's universe, because the natural flow of like, it turns out, hey, your universe is dying out because it lost its anchor being. And anchor beings are like heroes that exist in that multiverse, or in that certain universe, that hold that universe together. And without them, the universe will die. It will just tether away and die. So that's a whole new thing coming from like these timelines, is like anchor beings. So I don't know if those were just created for the Deadpool Wolverine story, or if they're going to make an appearance in the Avengers things. Who knows? But it's an interesting plot point now for further movies and leading up to Secret Wars as having these anchor beings. So hold on to that thought is what I'm thinking. Anywho, so it turns out like Wade's like, oh, it's me. But no, it's Logan, because Logan and Deadpool exist within the same timeline, yet, you know, he dies in Logan. And it turns out the universe is going to die because of that, which takes ultimately thousands of years to happen. So they're like, oh, well, that's not so bad. Like, I can live my life and have fun, and my kids can live their life and have fun. And he's like, well, I don't like to wait around, so we're going to just prune it now. And he's like, what? So his thought process is, if he goes, finds a new anchor being, a new Wolverine to be the anchor being in his universe, then everything will be fine and it won't be lost forever. So cut to what we've seen in parts of the trailers and like tidbits is like the montage of trying to find Wolverines, and we get all kinds of different Wolverines. We get comic accurate Wolverine, we get like Apocalypse Wolverine, we get the weird crucified creepy Wolverine, and it's a really funny moment, but like really terrifying if you're not ready for it. There's the Cavalrine, is that what they called him? Henry Cavill's Wolverine. There's Patch. There's all kinds of like funny things. There's the Wolverine in the John Burns costume that famously fights Hulk, and you get to see parts of the Hulk, not the full Hulk. You don't get full Hulk, but you get parts of the Hulk, which is really funny. And just Wade interacting with all that until finally he finds a Wolverine that doesn't immediately try to kill him on sight. And it turns out this Wolverine has a very tragic backstory, and you know, he's down on his luck, and so to speak. Oh, not even so to speak. He's actually down on his luck, and just horrible. And what you learn eventually through the movie is that he basically chose to go out and get drunk and leave the rest of the X-Men alone to get slaughtered by the government. And so he's like holding that guilt and just really sad about it all. And it sounds like he could have saved them. Like, I think based on the story, it sounded like he could have saved them, but chose to just not to. Like, and so he's living in that guilt and just being really sad about it. But anyway, Wade doesn't care about that shit. He needs him to save his universe. And he kind of makes a promise to Wolverine that if he helps him do this, he could help this Wolverine like get his friends back, because, you know, the TVA can travel through time and space. And so maybe he could go back to a time when all his friends are dead, which is kind of, I mean, I guess technically it's true, but the whole point, which you'll find out later in the movie, is that some anchor beings or some characters have to have their story to be who they are. And that will be the case for this Wolverine. Anyway, it's a really fun story. He goes back to the TVA to be like, look, I brought Wolverine. We're safe. My universe is safe. And it doesn't work out very well. They get pruned. And if you've watched Loki, that's the other thing too, that I guess you'd call it a knock against this movie. If you do not know anything about Loki, or I guess, I mean, you don't have to know. I never watched Logan, but I knew he died at the end of Logan. But if you didn't watch Loki, the TVA and the pruning stuff is going to be a very new concept to you. And so you might not follow along very well at first, but then as long as you have an open mind and an open heart, it's all going to make sense to you. So they get sent to wherever people, I forget, the Void. That's what it's called, the Void. And in the Void, it is essentially Mad Max of all the lost Fox and characters, like X-Men characters, which is kind of funny because, like, where else were they going to go, right? And all being led by the evil twin of Charles Xavier, Cassandra Nova. That was what it was. Cassandra Nova. Why did I say Kane? Kane sounds cool. Anyway, so while Deadpool and Wolverine are in the Void, they bump into Chris Evans, which is fun because, like, he's wearing the blue and red, like our red, white, and blue. So you're excited, and he starts talking because a convoy of the bad X-Men show up, or the evil X-Men show up, and Chris Evans is talking, And Deadpool's like, oh, he's going to say the thing. And he's like, Avengers. And then friggin' Chris Evans says, flame on. And it turns out he's Johnny Storm, and he's not Captain America, Steve Rogers, Chris Evans. And that was a fun surprise. And getting to see him and Pyro fight and it not go well for him was really funny too. And like, it's just, I don't know. I just had a blast with Chris Evans' character in this movie. And that's like your first legacy character you get introduced to in this movie. Like I said, spoilers. We're going to talk about them all. So they go talk to Cassandra Nova, and Wade, for the most part, rats out Johnny, like saying, like, look, he said all these horrible things about you on the drive over, and we're here to stop you. And she's like, oh, did he really? And then she does something very horrible to Johnny Storm. I don't want to talk about it because, one, it's disgusting, and two, it will ruin what happens to him. But things happen, and the Void Monster thing, I forget what his name is, Anaroth or something like that. He shows up, it's going to eat everybody, and Deadpool and Wolverine are able to escape Cassandra Nova's place, and they head out into the borderlands, searching for the Resistance. Heroes that are standing up to Cassandra and trying to find a way back to their home worlds. Eventually, Wade and Logan get into it with one of the best, funniest, and most gruesome fight scenes of the whole movie. And it all takes place inside of a Honda Odyssey, which is great, by the way. But like, Logan says some really truthful, hurtful things to Wade in this van. And them fighting was so guttural, so just animalistic, and so sexy. Me and my wife were like, the sexual tension with this fight scene was insane. And so it was really good though, and it was a really good fight scene. But basically, they just get tuckered out like that. Like two people that can heal from just about any wound, and so they're fighting an immortal fight to the death, which neither of them can reach, and they just tucker each other out basically. But then someone gets into the van, which miraculously survives all this violence and drives them off into the lair of the Resistance. And that's when we meet our legacy characters brought in for this movie. First character we're introduced to is Elektra, what was her name? Jennifer Gardner. Jennifer Gardner's Elektra, which is really awesome. You get Channing Tatum's Gambit, which, if you've been online, you've heard that he's in this movie. He gets to play Gambit, which is really exciting. You get the one that sort of shocked me, I wasn't ready for, Wesley Snipes' Blade, which was insane. And then, oh God, what is her name? X-23, Laura. I forget the actress who plays her, but she's back from the Logan franchise, or the Logan movie, to reprise her role as X-23, which is really great. And then there was Johnny, which they kind of talk about, and yeah, he's not around anymore. Spoilers. He ain't here no more. So Wade is able to talk the Resistance into standing up to Cassandra Nova. And, they've kind of like, well, if you guys were able to escape from her, maybe like we do have a shot of defeating her and getting back to our own timelines. Or at least, if not getting back to our own timelines, having the ending we deserve. Because, that's kind of like what these characters needed for their legacy franchises and movies. They didn't really have a good closing ending or really bad reviews on their movies. And so getting their like final shot to have a really cool action moment and like kind of like a cool ending to their story is really what this movie seems to be about, man. And it's funny because, hearing Deadpool interact with these characters, and because he can break the fourth wall, he mentioned some stuff outside of their movies that like people are known for, like Elektra talks about Daredevil, and obviously her and Ben Affleck used to be a thing and are now no longer, and he's like, oh, sorry about your loss. You're like, man, it doesn't bother me. And then it talks about him and Wesley Snipes and how like you've never liked me and things like that. And that goes true to some of like the news and reports that came out back in the Blade series when Ryan Reynolds was a part of that him and Wesley Snipes did not get along at all on those films. So that was really funny to hear those kind of things. And hearing Channing Tatum's Louisiana accent and just going full Cajun. It was crazy and really funny though. But so yeah, they get convinced, hey, we can do this and we deserve this kind of ending and we're going to help you because you found out a way. And so we're going to go with this. So they go to attack. Things go crazy. Cassandra Nova has crazy hand mind fucking powers, like literally seeing her hand inside people's heads, and it that gave me the heebie-jeebies. That was disgusting. I did not like that at all. But eventually they are able to get the best of her and convince her to let them go back to their universe to try to stop what is now called like, oh, what was it? It was a device that was just going to forcibly end a universe, like rip open a universe and completely destroy it. And so she lets them, sorry, I had to get my thoughts all gathered and stuff. And also I'm still a little phlegmy, so gotta clear my throat, man. COVID's a bitch, dude. But so as it turns out, before they go back, there's also some things that you learn that the TVA is working with some of the evil mutants to keep Cassandra there because her powers are very dangerous and they don't want her to be able to escape. And as it turns out, what they didn't know is that she had fought in a Doctor Strange, or she makes it seem like it was a Doctor Strange, and was able to get one of the teleporting rings from off of them. So now she can leave this multiverse, or the void, and go wherever she wants. But she sends Wade and Deadpool back so they can save the universe and stop this crazy machine from destroying it, which was really nice of her, right? So they get there, they're getting ready to do that, and then all of a sudden Cassandra shows up in their universe. As it turns out, that's not what she really wanted to do. She wanted them there as a distraction so that she could come, take control of the machine, and to destroy all of the multiverse so that only the void exists, and that where she's the ruler of the void, and now everyone will have to live there with her and be slave to her. So she brings in the Deadpool Corps, which is something we heard mentioned, and we actually got to meet two members of the Deadpool Corps. It was Nice Pool, which was basically just Ryan Reynolds as a hippie, and then Dogpool, aka Mary Poppins, aka Britain's ugliest dog, aka way too personal with Deadpool's mouth, licking it. But the Deadpool Corps show up, which is like all the different versions of Deadpool, and some that I've recognized from the comic books, like Deadpool 2099, which is actually his daughter. There was Kid Pool, there was Head Pool, there was Lady Pool. There was the time when Deadpool, what was it? Was it the original Sin storyline or the Axis storyline, where basically everyone kind of flips personalities? So Deadpool's actually like not nice, but more spiritual. So his suit is black and white, and he's more dressed like a monk, and he's really not all about that violence. But this one shot a blow dart in his butt. Nice Pool and Dogpool show back up because, you know, they're kind of like maybe not the good guys, but they're very neutral in the whole evil and good thing. So Nice Pool shows up, but Nice Pool also has like the coolest guns in the world. He has like golden Desert Eagles, which obviously Deadpool Prime is very jealous of. And I'm pretty sure the next part in this movie, he purposely plans so that he can acquire these guns. And so all the Deadpool Corps start shooting at Deadpool Prime and Wolverine. Prime picks up Nice Pool and uses him as a body shield to go hide behind a car. And you just see him getting riddled with bullets, and he's like, "Oh, don't worry, man. I'm gonna say it right one of these times. Your regenerating healing factor is gonna kick in any second now. Like, how long does it take?" And he's like, "I have a regenerative." Like, he's like, "Wait, I can do that?" And so they're like, "Oh no, like this fool's gonna die." And freaking Wolverine is so pissed. He's like, "You just murdered that man." And so what's even funnier is like now Deadpool's like trying to think what to do, and he looks over because Nice Pool is still alive, He's like, oh no, there's a donut cart over there. They always have like super high grade medicinal things and donut carts, so we'll go over there. And they're like, that's not true, don't go do that. And so he picks up Nice Pool again, and this dude's just getting riddled with all kinds of bullets and just dying. And like, he's just like, and Deadpool Prime, our Wade, is like, you can do it. You just say, I'm gonna live. Like, we're gonna be okay. And his head gets completely exploded, which this is like the funniest scene in the movie to me because it's just so ridiculous, over the top, stupid. But basically, all this to say, Deadpool gets the Golden Desert Eagles like he always wanted. And Wolverine's part in this is really funny because he picks up Dogpole, puts it over the car, and all the Deadpools are like, wait, don't shoot. Because everyone loves Mary Poppins. And then Wolverine just stands up, holds the dog, and just walks across the street, just staring him down like, we doing this? Like, and no one shoots at him because they love Dogpole. And then next is like one of the best slow-mo action one-shot type sequences that we've seen, especially in the Deadpool movie. And it's a lot of fun. It's really cool. And Deadpool and Wolverine just murk the shit out of all these Deadpools. And they finally get to the last Deadpool standing, and it's a baby pool. And I verbally out loud said, oh no, because they're about to kill this like Deadpool baby, which is sad. And then as it turns out, all the other Deadpools do have a healing factor and they all get up. But when it looks bleakest and like all that action was for nothing, in rolls Peter. Peter dressed in a Deadpool suit, which is funny. And it is Deadpool's Peter. It's Peter Prime, I guess you would say. And he shows up and all the other Deadpools are like, wait, it's Peter. Like, every Deadpool has a Peter and we love Peter. Like, they're all excited. And so they use the distraction of Peter to go down into the TVA office to stop the little time splitter thing from destroying the universe. And it's another beautiful moment between the two where they talk about like who should live and who should die. And, this Wolverine accepts his fate, in a way. And he says, look, everyone in my universe has died. Like, I let them down. I need this. Like, let me do this. Let me be the hero that I need to be to avenge like my family and avenge my friends and the X-Men and all this. And let me avenge my universe to save yours. And Deadpool has some really good talking points too, where like, no, this is his purpose. Like, this is what he wants to do. There's some tomfoolery afoot, and Deadpool ends up being the one inside the fusion core, the reactor, it was like matter and antimatter cores. And all they got to do is connect them and it will destroy the machine, but it will kill the person in the process because one man cannot withstand the matter antimatter forces converging into one. So Wade goes in there, he grabs one side and he's reaching out for the other, but he can't just quite reach until suddenly a hand grabs his open hand and it's Wolverine. Wolverine made his way in. There's a few seconds left and they connect the chain, causing the two sides to converge. Wolverine's shirt just blast open to the sexiest set of abs I've ever seen in a movie, and sweating. Beautiful soundtrack plays to all this. I think it was what is that song? It's by Madonna. They even make a mention of it in the movie. But so that happens. Of course, Cassandra Nova gets killed in the blast. The machine destroys itself apart, and members from the Loki TVA show up for this TVA to be like, yo, what the fuck? Like, you can't be doing this. Like, you're in trouble. You're arrested. And he's like, and it's funny because the dude is basically the villain in this whole thing. The catalyst for this movie is like talking up Wade Wilson and Logan, and like they're true heroes. They came and saved the world and saved the universe and this and that. And then you hear Wade call out because they didn't die miraculously, because it was two of them, not just one of them. They were able to survive this whole incident. But it's funny because when Wade calls out, the dude's like, motherfucker, because like it's going to ruin everything for them because they survived and can rat them out. And so really cool movie. Logan decides to stay in Wade's universe and live there. And we get to see X-23 back, but I don't think there was any of the other legacy characters. But I think with X-23 being there, it means that they didn't all die, and maybe they just went back to their own universes. I don't know, but it looks like X-23 chose to live in Wade's universe as well. It looks like things with him and Vanessa are on the up and up because he has accepted the role of Deadpool again and to be the hero that he was meant to be. There are a ton of other cameos in this movie and scenes that I have purposely omitted to not spoil everything for you, but a lot of them weren't really plot points of the movie, I guess. And they're really funny, though, and kind of, I don't know. There's a lot of cool stuff in here, and there's a lot of more cameos in here from other actors, from other Marvel things that maybe not a lot. There's a few. One is Happy Hogan. Anyway, that was one I forgot to mention. But yeah, man, I thought it was a great movie. One of the best parts of Deadpool and Wolverine is the end credit, not the post credit scene, but the end credits, because the end credits, one, plays an amazing soundtrack to already get you in the mood, but it plays a lot of behind the scenes stuff from all of the legacy movies. So I think there was Fantastic Four in there. There was Elektra. There was Blade. A lot of the Fox movies, and just getting to see all those, you got to see that this movie wasn't there to make fun of those movies and poke and like be mean about it. It was really there to, like I said, pay homage to these movies and like really say thank you, in a way. I mean, I know it was mostly Ryan Reynolds and the director and all the other people involved, but in a way it was kind of like Disney's way of saying like, hey, thanks, like you did your part, now we're here. You ran your leg of the relay, now we're here to bring it home. We're the anchor leg. But like, it was a really nice moment getting to see all that, getting to see them laugh and have fun enjoying those movies, because for a lot of people it seemed like maybe they weren't enjoying those movies, but it was good. It was a good nod to those, and a good ending. Like a good ending to those characters, a good legacy ending. Say, hey, we were here, we kicked ass. Gambit didn't get a legacy ending, but maybe this is a legacy beginning. Who knows? And like one of the final action sequences where they're attacking Cassandra Nova's place, you get to see these guys just go off, and Gambit does some really cool, really badass stuff that, man, I want him to have his own movie so bad, because it would be badass. Like maybe him and Blade fighting vampires. Ooh, that would be cool. Like New Orleans vampires or something. I don't know. But it was a good movie, man. It was really great. It had there's a lot of good heart in here. Like, and I think that's what makes Deadpool really good, is like the love that goes into this, the heart that goes into this, mixed in with the comedy, So for me, definitely a positively charged movie. You know how we used to do ratings here: neutral charge, negative charge, or positive charge. Either like don't care, bad, or good. This is definitely a positive charge. You guys need to go check this out. It's a great movie. You might have missed it in theaters. I think it's coming up to one of its last weekends, so it should be coming to streaming services pretty soon, or your ability to buy it. Of course, if you're a pirate, you know where to find it. Arrgh. But great movie. Really loved it. Really enjoyed it. And I'm sad that it's over, but hopefully it's not over for Deadpool and Wolverine. We'll see. There is a joke with Logan about him being Wolverine until he's 90, which was really funny and a lot of fun. I don't know, man, he's up there in age now, and he's like over 50, right? Like maybe close to 60. I don't know. His abs are like 25. Like they're amazing. Anyway, great movie. My wife and I loved it. Oh, and then the post-credit scene where it turns out Deadpool he didn't have to tell Cassandra everything that Johnny said. Turned out he was right. Johnny said a lot of horrible things about Cassandra, and he even omitted some of the things Johnny said, because in the post-credit scene, we get to see him just go full chaos. It was great. It was funny. And based on the things that he said, he kind of predicted his own future in a way, which is maybe why Cassandra did the things that she did to him, is because she could see it inside his mind. I don't know. But good movie, guys. Enjoyed it. Loved it. You should go see it. If not, see it when it comes out. But that's all that we have today for the Bry-Fy podcast. Thank you guys for sticking around and listening to me babble and gush about the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. If you like what you heard, please don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, review. I'm on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean. I think I'm on the Google Play Store. I'm pretty much anywhere that you can catch a podcast, I'm there. I think I'm on like TuneIn Radio too? I don't remember. But yeah, great fun, a blast. And if you want me to look at something, review something, play a video game, and talk about it, hit me up, man. I'm on all the social medias. I'm on X, I'm on Threads, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Snapchat, I'm on TikTok. Everything is at Bry-Fy Podcast. That's BRYFY Podcast. Or you can shoot me emails at bryfypodcast@hotmail.com. But that's all I got for you guys this week. We will see you guys either later this week because this was a late episode, or we'll just skip this week and like I skipped last week and then just go and I don't know. Look, man, I'm just trying. I'm just doing my best, man. But anyway, that's all I got for you today. Bry-Fy out.